All right, this is big time. This is going to be a quick one today. Got some shit out of Canada, I believe, and one defensive gun use. Just a busy week. So, coming at you from Redux, Kirilova, Canadian nurse, understood biology. Now she risks losing her license. Yeah, these people are insane. Not her, but you know. For more than 2 years, Canadian nurse Amy Ham has been going through an ordeal that she can only describe as Kafkaesque. In November of 2020, Ham had been informed by the British Columbia College of Nurses and Midwives that she was under investigation for her off duty conduct. Yeah. Two members of the public, neither of whom were Ham's patients, had complained essentially that she was a transphobe. More censorship. Despite Ham's flawless track record and her history working with transgender patients over the course of her decade long career, the BCCNM took the random complaints seriously. 6 months later, Ham was sent a document over 300 pages in length detailing dubious evidence of her transphobia in the form of her published articles and posts on social media. Ham is an advocate for women's single sex spaces and has been involved in the Canadian iteration of the debate around gender ideology. The idea that one's self declared gender identity is more important than their biological sex. BCCNM took the position that Ham's personal views made her unfit to be a nurse. Ham's lawyer described her views to the BCCNM as follows: Men are not women. Humans are a dimorphic species. Women and men are biologically different from one another. Women and girls have sex based rights as a result of those differences. Those rights are under threat. This is the truth. It has always been the truth. Speaking the truth should not be a punishable offense. Based. Ham has written and spoken publicly about gender ideology in addition to organizing large events where this topic can be debated and differing perspectives can be heard. While she has been doing this for almost 7 years, what eventually triggered the two complaints against Ham was her involvement in erecting a billboard in Vancouver that simply said, "I heart J.K. Rowling." The billboard didn't last long and was vandalized repeatedly in its short time being up on Hastings Street. But I bet the people who vandalized it weren't arrested, right? For this, she was put at risk of losing her nursing license and her livelihood on the charge that she made discriminatory and derogatory statements that she has made discriminatory and derogatory statements regarding transgender people while identifying herself as a nurse. Initially, her disciplinary hearing, which is taking place over video, was scheduled for May 30th through June 3rd, 2022. However, it quickly ballooned to an expected 7 days and was rescheduled for September 21st through 23rd and October 24th, 27th, 2022. After the first 7 days, 4 more days were subsequently added the week of January 10th. The fourth day in January was canceled when it became obvious that the hearing was nowhere near completion, and it was decided that another 8 days would be added. Those dates have not yet been confirmed, but one wonders if even the added days will be sufficient to conclude what has so far been a demonstration of the ideological capture of the BCCNM. It all kicked off on day one when BCCNM legal counsel Michael Seaborn, who is retarded, declared that insisting there are only two sexes denies the very existence of transgender people. Great. Okay. I mean, you can exist in your own mind. I don't have to affirm it. The BCCNM contends that as a regulated professional, Ham is not allowed to make such basic, factually accurate statements. Oh boy. The next day, the BCCNM called on its first expert witness, Dr. Elizabeth Sawick, who was director of the University of British Columbia School of Nursing and a member of the World Professional Association of Transgender Health. Oh, WPATH. Oh, we'll have to talk about WPATH, which recently decided that a man who castrates himself as part of a sexual fetish is a gender identity. Good for you, Redux. One of the highlights of Sawick's testimony was when she had great trouble, or at least pretended to have great trouble, understanding that lesbians are females attracted to other females. In fact, she opined that it might be transphobic for a lesbian to openly state her exclusive interest in other females. That's right. If a woman, that's what it's coming to. If a woman says she doesn't want to sleep with a woman who has a dick and balls, that women will be declared transphobic. And they want you to lose your job. And they want you to have your children taken from you. And they want you to lose your bank account. That's right. The next witness for the BCCNM was Dr. Greta Bauer, a professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at the Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry at the University of Western Ontario. Oh, wow. Bauer was also a member of WPATH. Bauer continued to present ludicrous ideas about sex and gender identity as if they were universally accepted and unquestioned. She spoke confidently about toddlers having gender identities and people changing sex over the course of their life. At the same time, she was unable to define terms like gender, sex, woman, female. At one point, Lisa Bildy, legal counsel for Ham, put to Bauer a definition of female, coined by biologist Heather Haying, that accounts for all possible caveats. Females are individuals who do or did or will or would, but for development or genetic anomalies, produce eggs. Bauer could not agree with this definition, of course, because she's right. When Bildy pressed further, legal counsel for BCCNM Barbara Finley objected, claiming that the definition of female was outside of the scope of Bauer's expertise. Right. I wonder if you asked the lawyer, how do you know, is this a dog? I mean, I know you're not a veterinarian, but this is getting so stupid. Like, it's already... It's already crashed. It's burning to the ground. It's all stupid. Like Sayek, Barr did not agree that lesbians are females who are exclusively attracted to other females. She said that lesbians should examine why they are not attracted to men who identify as women, and likened sexual orientation to sexual racial preferences. Oh my God. Bauer also dismissed concerns about the potential harms of placing trans-identified male prisoners, many of them sex offenders, into women's prisons. She hand-waved away the suggestion that this situation may create an unacceptable level of risk by saying that cisgender women assault each other in prison as well. Yeah. Well, you know what? If that's the case, I hope it happens to you, bitch. I hope it happens to you. But even then, you're so fucking dumb. You're such a activist, you'll never learn. On top of gender, I'm tired of having... I'm tired of trying to forgive these people. It's either separate and they're banished from our society, or we need our boot on their neck. They want their boot on our neck. You can't live with these people. It'll never stop. On the topic of gender-affirming medical procedures for minors, Bauer stated that it would be transphobic to question any of the extreme and experimental interventions that are being performed. Yeah, so they're using the shield of anti-Semitism. When Bildy suggested that one of the side effects of hormonal interventions for young trans-identified females is early menopause and corresponding symptoms like hot flashes, Bauer remarked that some adolescents might be excited about that. Bildy closed her cross-examination by pulling up the photo of the infamous Oakville, Ontario high school shop teacher. She then asked Bauer if the man wearing the enormous prosthetic breast is a woman. If she identifies as a woman, then her gender identity is a woman, Bauer responded. With full access to female spaces, Bildy pressed, as per the law, Bauer said. Ham is essentially in trouble for holding the opposite opinion. After Bauer's cross-examination was complete, there should have been time for Ham's witness to give their testimony. However, counsel for BCCNM has spent a good portion of the 10 days of proceedings trying to get her impeccably qualified witness. Oh, of course, yeah. You see, you're only allowed to listen to them. See how that works? Legal counsel for Ham intends to call Dr. Miriam Grossman, Dr. Kathleen Stock, Dr. Linda Blade, and Heather Mason. All have extensive knowledge of the gender ideology debate and experience in different areas pertaining to it. Dr. Grossman is a practicing psychiatrist who works with trans-identified patients. So in other words, they're going to talk about the side effects, the negative consequences of all this lunacy, and they don't want it to be they don't want it to be on the record. Dr. Stock is a philosopher, writer, and the author of Material Girls, Why Reality Matters for Feminism. Dr. Blade is the president of Athletics Alberta and co-author, along with journalist Barbara Kay, of Unsporting, How Trans Activism and Science Denial Are Destroying Sport. Mason is an advocate for women in prison and a former federal prisoner who knows more than anyone what is happening to the marginalized women who are bearing the brunt of Canada's disastrous policies regarding the placement of trans-identified male prisoners. BCCNM counsel has argued that none of these witnesses' experience, expertise, and opinion. Of course, you're not allowed to present evidence. That's it. You're wrong. We're right. Obey. And opinions are relevant to Ham's case, despite the fact that they clearly demonstrate the existence of an ongoing debate of great public interest. On day 10 of the hearing, Karen Bastow, legal counsel for Ham, reiterated that what is taking place is not a negligence case, but a free speech case. She stressed that Ham's speech is protected by her charter right of freedom of expression. Opposing counsel Finley made it clear that the BCCNM cares nothing for Ham's charter rights by launching into a description of how Canadian institutions have been completely captured by gender identity ideology, as if this is a positive and desirable state of affairs. A transgender youth in Canada, or an adult for that matter, may discover their identity as transgender, and when they do, they find it in the context of a medical and a legal system and an educational system that recognizes and understands, accepts, and assists with their identity as transgender people. Dr. Price just care with it. She concluded there is no debate. Here, the debate is settled. Except the debate is not settled. I wanted to say bitch. Except the debate is not settled in Canada. It has not even begun. The BCCNM is trying to prevent it from even starting by silencing Ham and not allowing her witnesses a chance to testify. What is happening to Ham should not happen in a free and sane society. It is an example of the totalitarian nature of gender ideology and its no debate mantra come to manifest. Amy Eileen Ham is a dedicated nurse who has never faced any workplace discipline. She is the mother of 2 young children, and she is now facing the loss of her job for stating basic facts that most people agree with. This should concern everyone. Our society should be applauding the kind of people who can stand up to social pressure and against atrocities like the sterilization of children and the destruction of women's boundaries. Instead, it is cowed to a regressive orthodoxy that is burning heretics at the stake. No, the debate is not settled. Amy Eileen Ham's hearing is only its beginning. Decent article. Okay, and one other story, and then big time's got to bounce. Busy week this week, so just making sure. Again, Gun Violence Archive. I covered defensive gun uses. Today's story, we got Grambo, Nashville. That's right, not Rambo, Grambo. They could have killed me. Nashville woman warning others about carjacking leads to shootout with teens. Nashville, Tennessee, 2 juveniles, which means black, are facing aggravated robbery charges after Metro Nashville police say they carjacked a woman early Monday morning before crashing into another vehicle. I'm sure they'll be released on their own recognizance with ankle monitors. Quenisha Wiggins told News 2 that what happened to her on Monday, January 23rd, will be hard to forget. Please don't let him shoot me, but I'm still walking back. Heading into work at 4 a.m., Wiggins said she noticed a car on the road and described the driving as erratic, but wanted to stay safe. She said she honked her horn, but immediately drove around them. Once at work, she noticed the same vehicle. As soon as I opened the door, I see somebody come around in a ski mask, like creeping around the car, and when he came up, he had a gun pointed to my face. I went into survival mode. I was just calm. I literally put my hands up. Wiggins explained it was more than what was happening that shocked her, but rather the ages of the suspects when 2 more came up behind her. I could tell that these were kids because I'm looking. I'm like, these are juveniles. They are kids that's robbing me. These are kids that's robbing me, Wiggins said. With the gun pointed at her face, Wiggins remembered trying to do everything she could to stay alive. She said the teens asked for her phone code, and the keys to her car. The teens took off on her Dodge Journey, and once they had left, Wiggins immediately went inside her workplace to tell her boss and call the police. Hours later, Wiggins got an alert that her card was used at a gas station. Then she got another alert on the other side of town. I got another alert, and they said that it had been tried to be used at the North Side gas station market, Wiggins said. Driving around near the area with her fiancé, looking out of her mother's car, Wiggins said she immediately recognized the car driving behind them. I said, babe, that's the car, so I call the police. While on the phone, Wiggins said the teens started literally shooting. The passenger is shooting at us because they ran the stop sign. They seen me go by. They like, yeah, she following us. Yeah. So opening fire because they don't expect you to fight back. And most people won't. So, I don't know what to say. Wiggins said that's when she started firing her own gun back because she's fucking Grambo at the fleeing suspects before the teens crashed the stolen SUV head on into a car on Kings Lane. If you are a teenager at 4 o'clock in the morning, you should be getting ready for high school or school, not out jacking people for their cars. Just like the Washington, D.C. incident. Oh, the poor 13-year-old criminal who's carjacking, who's stealing cars and breaking into other people's cars. I just can't believe that a 13-year-old might be violent. Well, here's teenagers firing at somebody. What color are they? Well, I can take a guess. Then for it be kids. Your grammar sucks, Wiggins. Just think if I did have my gun and I shot and they shot and we going back and forth at my job and they could have killed me or I could have killed somebody because somebody's kid's out jacking people. Well, good for her for shooting back.
I knew at 5 a family in the.
But I mean, what do you expect? Again, I give her credit. She's braver than most. She actually went to get her car. So anyway, not a lot of time today. I'm big time. That's news to me.